as prevention, and even actually if you don't have diabetes. Again, I just came back from India. India is now the country with the highest number of people with diabetes, more than 100 million. But what's still more impressive, there's more than 120 million with pre-diabetes, and people don't know that actually they were diabetes in 5 years if they don't do anything. And these molecules, that's help, for sure. Here, next one, GlyNAC, boosted glutathione. Glutathione is a molecule that's even more abundant than in our cell, that's NAD, and this one is responsible, it's the main antioxidant that we have. It's called the master antioxidant. You may have heard that vitamins are antioxidants, but they are nothing compared to glutathione. And I don't recommend, for example, to take antioxidants, but more actually to reach this balance through the glutathione. And again, glutathione does decrease big time with age. And the impact will be more inflammation, our immune function that decreases, and so on. So we can take actually GlyNAC, which is a combination of glycine, an essential amino acid, and N-acetylcysteine, which is a limiting factor in the production by the body of glutathione. All again are natural molecule that support the synthesis of glutathione, yes. And here. Again, 20 clinical trials in humans showing improving connective function, reduce inflammation, improve physical function, reduce stress, and so on. Pretty impressive what this molecule can do. Last one that we like, this one has been studied during a very long time here, and I think that number of studies now in humans, it's clinical trials, more than 50, 60. It's impressive, but this year, only 2 months ago, there was a landmark study on the impact of taurine. It's a conditional amino acid that plays a pivotal role in numerous cellular processes. And taurine, maybe you heard that these molecules, for example, as in drinks like Red Bull. I don't recommend to take Red Bull, but you can take up to 1-2 milligram of taurine in the morning. That's pretty difficult, but that was coming to an end. It will come back, hopefully. Okay, thank you. Again, okay, numbers, more than 60 clinical trials have been performed with the list of impressive impact on health, especially for people with high pressure. That's help. So we know now, based on the latest advances in science, through a good understanding of the pathway, how we can find small molecules that become supplements that have an impact on our health. And I believe that these will become more popular. For sure, it will never replace the 5 pillars that I showed before. That's really the basics of a good health, but that support this here in our quest of healthy living. The vision that we have for longevity for this decade, again, I personally believe this will be the decade of longevity. Everything is going in that way, and there's a lot of people now and science working on these methods actually that at the end may even actually lead to reverse aging. Just 2 weeks ago, there was a study that has been published that showed that we're able to reverse aging in rats. Sure, that's not humans. We know the difference between rats and humans, but it shows how fast it is improving here. And this study is really, I think, will be a landmark study. Talking about telomere extension, stem cells. Stem cell therapy, I think, personally, I believe was maybe the most promising one, especially when we can out of all the stem cells. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the stem cell. That's the cell that we have in our body that still don't have a function, and based on factors called Yamanaka factors, they will differentiate themselves. We can have these stem cells, and we can actually take stem cells in our blood. We can isolate these cells. We can actually use these cells to generate what are called extracellular vesicles, and these, we can develop those and re-inject in our body, and this is clear rejuvenating effect. And now the science behind is still not 100% clear, but every day we are learning more about that. That's all the list of techniques that are developing. Again, there are a lot of new companies, startups that are working in the field now, really actually to help to minimize the impact of diseases with aging. Thank you. all the concerned.
Pierre Edouard, up close. I get to shake your hands and tell everybody in the audience, you don't look a day over 25. And you mentioned you're 51. So you've talked a lot about the chemicals and what we can do to increase our longevity. If there's one that I can start, which one would you recommend?
I would recommend NMN.
The first one?
Yes, sublingual NMN, yes.
Okay.
Because it's clean impact, yes.
You take all of them, I'm guessing.
I do take all of them. I'm not a good example, yes. That's sure.
All right.
I'm a crazy guy. Okay.
So you heard it, guys. NIM.
Okay.
Right? Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you.
Longevity. How many in the audience have tried ice baths? Have anybody tried to dunk themselves in an ice bath? This is like a really big trend now. Only a few. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5, 6, 7. Do we have 10? Just 7? 7. Okay, 7 out of 200. That's 3%. That does wonders to your longevity, I've heard as well. All right, next on stage to talk about innovation and how we can innovate, elevate, and empower is an enterprising entrepreneur and the driving force behind F9 Infotech, a premier cloud consulting powerhouse headquartered in the vibrant city of Dubai. F9's global footprint extends to key locations across India, KSA, Ireland, USA, and Canada. With an illustrious career spanning over 15 years in the IT sector, Rajesh has garnered a reputation as a forward-thinking professional with an unwavering commitment to innovation. Please welcome on stage Rajesh Radhakrishnan, entrepreneur and director of F9 Infotech.
Hey, good morning everyone, and I think it's good afternoon. Yeah, it's just like a starting time of the call. So good afternoon everyone, and I have the great immense pleasure in front of standing here, all the global audience, and thanks to GEC for giving that wonderful opportunity, standing here and talking about my own. Let me start with one of the great quote. What it's always giving, or what it's always says, the power. Every time we all have some of the failures in my life. Everybody's life has some of the failure. How we can succeed it? Every time we fail, we have to overcome. Rise from that failure. First, like accept what is the failure. How we can improve it. How we can overcome that. So overcome means like it's every time we can solve the issues. But how fast? So, main agenda is the goal. We should have a goal to achieve it. The goal is the one which will allow to rise from every failure. I have a goal, I have to achieve it, which allow me to stand here and talk about myself. And I am getting many questions from many people, from my community, my friends. How many times I can fail? And each failure, how many times I need to rethink about it. I need to change. I need to find an alternative option or look for some alternative. I always say to everyone, no, you should not. This is like that only. You have to look for the goal, you have to achieve the goal, and the failure, how you can overcome. So you will be keep trying the same way to solve this issue, but you can tweak the way. So you can walk straight, you can walk left, right. So how you can fasten that path, how you can overcome by tweaking that way to achieve the goal. That's how it should be. Then you can achieve the success. And this, I have been failing from many times, many things, but I always follow this code, give me the courage to stand up and rise and continue my journey. And very simple example. So we all are from childhood, we start walking. So many times we fall, but we never stop, right? We again stand up, we try to walk. There may be some push will come, somebody will support, somebody will not support, we stand up again, until we get succeed. So, never stop trying, we have to always try. It's all about the perseverance of power. So keep trying until we get success. So that's how the greatest glory of living lies, not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. So this should be, everybody should have a goal to achieve, and the passion and the technology in hand, we can do achieve anything. So entrepreneurship. I have been in this industry for more than 15 years in the IT industry. Okay, I have chosen this path only because of my passion towards IT. I have working with the same like many of you for more than 14 years in the industry with a decent salary, withdrawing every month. I will be happy on 25th or 30th when I am getting my salary, and the next day the bills will start shooting. Okay, pay this bill, pay that bill. Okay, so finally, okay man, I have to wait for next month and get the same salary. So apart from that, I was leading a lot of community, the technology groups. I always talk to my colleagues, my peers from multiple vendors, multiple partners to understand, okay, what is happening? How can I help you? It's apart from my job. Always I feel something I can do much better than that. And I have been doing the consulting job for almost 14 years. I have met many customers. I help everybody to achieve what they needed. Still, I feel I can do something better. Where I thought, okay, I have to stand up and start something. So that is from where I started on company, which is F9. I'm one of the co-founders. I'm standing here talking about entrepreneurship. And it's not an easy job, sure. Everybody has a thought, okay, in my life I have to do something. It's not only just a passion. We should have a dream. As everybody says, dream, we have to run for the dream, or we have to fly for the dream, or we have to achieve the dream. So that's how we have to go. And the passion, of course, every day I look for newspapers, I look the LinkedIn page, I check the forums, what is new, where I can learn new technology, which can be to our customers, or I can give the technology to my peers or my community. How can give more? So that's always give me immense pleasure, or giving a power to say to everybody, okay, I can do it. And one of the first questions when I am entering the stage, I am always thinking to any session, can I really make a difference? Yes, standing in front of all of you guys, I can tell, as I can do, I can make a change. How? Are you guys concerned or confused or not sure where to start? Many of CIOs or many of the IT heads has this question when talking about the new technology, cloud journey. What strategy you should build? Okay, is it the right time to start? Okay, are we on the right cloud? Are we on the right path? Can we do it? So these questions will always be happening. How I can help? Let me share you one small experience. A couple of years back happened. The moment we started like F9. So before joining or starting the complete journey with F9, I took a small break. I went to India for my vacation, relaxing with family, having with family, parents, kids. Got a call from one of my customer. He is telling, where are you? I told, sir, I'm not here. I'm out of town. Oh. From his voice, I understand there is something serious. I asked, what happened? He's telling, there is a serious issue or the problem. I need your support and immediate support. I tried to push it because I want to spend the time, because after 14, 15 years, I took a break to want to enjoy with my family and parents. Then he told me, okay, Rajesh, but this is very important. Then I asked, okay, shall I connect remotely and check? He told me, no. We don't know what to do. So the questions came there. We don't know what to do. We are completely out of thing. We have no clue what has to be done here. So how can you help? I told, okay. Then I took the next flight from India. I landed in Dubai. I went to meet the customer. I like big room. There's so many engineers are there. CEO is there. Head of IT is there. All are confused. They don't know what to do. And I told what happened. So once I understand the issue, I also got shocked first time. Because there's nothing. So one of the biggest outreach happened, or the entire data has been gone. They have nothing in their DR or in their primary side. Complete data has been gone. It's got encrypted. They can't do anything. So they are sitting from 3 days. They don't know what to do. I told, okay, fine. I sit for some time. I understand that all infrastructure, whole architecture, got the whole holistic picture. Okay, so then I made some couple of calls with my peers in my office. So these are solution can be used over there. They don't, okay. So then I called everybody. I told, this is the plan, this is the way we have to go for it. You can bring up your old data. The time, of course, it's just not simply bringing up the data, right? You have to make sure this data is compliant. How can we do it? So we built the entire plan. We showed them, so they got convinced. They given approval. Okay, go ahead. And where I convinced the customer with not only bringing in something in on-premise only, it has to be multi-cloud. What happened next day? Because it's a continuous journey to making sure you have a resilient infrastructure. It's not an easy job. It takes time. I told, okay, let's bring one by one and make sure key controls are there, security controls are there. We have to make sure it's everything in place. Then you can say it's a resilient. So if I build the data tomorrow and next day anything can happen, right? How can we restrict that? That is how resilient infrastructure has been built. It is a multi-cloud journey. Started from there. The moment I thought, okay, it can be done. I make sure I can make a change for them. Because we work with the customers, not for vendor. We are a completely vendor agnostic company. So we work with customer, what they need, what is right for them, we advise it, we help them achieve it. And we took a couple of days, entire team, I called the entire team over there at the office. We work day and night, shift by shift. Everything has been bring up within a week time. And I was able to convince their management to take to a multi-cloud journey, to moving to the next level. Putting right control, security, backup, DR. How can we build a resilient? And finally they agreed it because everybody think about the IT is basically cost. When talking about the IT, the finance or the top management think about only on the cost. So what is the impact they want to understand? Basically such incidents come from there we can learn. Or the experience we share with all these guys, which give the output. And finally they agreed, they build that entire infrastructure in the multi-cloud, they are happy now. Still, as a customer for us, we can tell we do continuous compliance engagement with them to making sure they are compliant. Because every day, just not bringing the infra, right? Somebody is trying to attack all the day. How you can make sure that's always happening? So, one of the main point from the top management, resistance to the change. Why? Because they are not sure what has to be done. How you can overcome that? So that is how we can help you as an F9. So the awareness, the desire, knowledge, ability and confidence. So we can help you with all the right information you need it and your teams. Where you are confidently you can do or make sure the change can be implemented. Not only that, the knowledge. So the top management always think about ROI. So we'll give you the right data, making sure implementing this thing, you will get an ROI. So there will be a return of investment. And you can confidently convince your management with the right data to making sure they are in the right path and the confidence you can tell, okay, I can do it. Because we are there to support you. And about F9 Infotech, so we have a global footprint in USA, Canada, Ireland, KSA and India. So we are headquarters in Dubai and we are into multi-cloud. And we don't work for we don't work for vendors, we work for customers. Customer is first. So what they need, we always give. The right approach, right solution. How can you build a resilient infrastructure? How can you make sure you are not getting overbilled for any solution? How can you cost optimize it? So we'll help in all the way. So from last 3-4 years, we have been building this and we are in a growing path. And I can say, proudly say, maybe next year we can see more locations will be coming over there, we'll get more logos, we'll get more customers. Because the way we work for customers, that is important for us. And about us again, so we work with all the cloud vendors, but still again, for the customer, what they needed, we provided. And as AWS, Oracle, VMware, Microsoft, Google, all are our partners, and we work with their solutions. We optimize it and we give to the customers what they needed. Just not only giving some cloud instance, give it, use it. So we try to make sure what is the resilient we can build it on there, even it's a single server or instance, or maybe a storage. How customer can get it is a resilient model with the cost optimized. What is the best? What is your requirement? We can suitably give it. As everybody know, one t-shirt will not fit for everybody, right? Same applicable in the cloud. Everybody has a different requirement. How you can get fit into it? So we can help you. We'll do an assessment or we'll have a detailed discussion with you, understand your requirement. And from there we'll be able to come up with a plan. We can give you the right solution. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Rajesh.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
All good. How are you?
Excellent.
Yes.
I love F9, the name.
Okay. You know what is mean by F9?
Why F9? Yes,
Yeah,
please.
so like F9 is like refresh. You know the weight. But F9 it will get refresh.
F9 refresh on the keyboard.
Yes.
So now you will never forget the name. F9, refresh the keyboard.
That's what.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Refresh and get over the obstacles for change. All right, next on stage is going to be a very complicated story. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Because two speakers are nominated to be next on stage, but one speaker is shaking his head yes. So that means next on stage we have a short presentation talking about building a total digital reward strategy that works. Our speaker is Naveen Himana, who's getting mic'd up at the moment. He is a regional head for the Meta region at Zozo Day. Now Zozo Day, I learned, is the way to pronounce XOXO Day. Do you know what XOXO stands for? It's also a play on words. X is hug. I think O is hug. X is kiss. Thank you. So it's hug, kiss, or kiss, hug. Now I sound like I'm the musician from last day's presentation. Kiss, hug, kiss, hug, kiss, hug, kiss, hug. Hug, kiss, hug, kiss, hug, kiss. All right, 15 years of diversified experience in enterprise product sales and enabling technology product companies to establish and scale organically and via channel partners. In his current role, Naveen leads the growth of Zozo Day in the Middle East, Turkey, and Africa region. And as he's getting mic'd up, yesterday I met with Naveen over a coffee, and he was telling me how today most digital rewards programs are broken, and it's very difficult to achieve results, to influence and motivate, whether it's employees, whether it's customers, whether it's channel partners, to motivate them, to motivate you, to motivate the customer, and change their behavior based on loyalty programs. So as loyalty programs become more and more diluted, we get more and more emails, we get more and more SMSs, our attention is limited. And how can a loyalty program, a reward program, capture that attention? That is the answer that we'll be waiting for Naveen to answer in his short presentation. Without further ado, please give a round of applause for Naveen Himana, Regional Head, Meta XOXO Day. So Naveen, I heard you have an intro video.
Probably will use this one.
That one works, you don't like it?
Nah.
You like these more?
Yeah.
Okay, turn it off.
Turn it off.
And then you can use these.
Pretty humble. I mean, I know it's.
The microphone's not working. Podium. Microphone. Podium.
Two together. Okay.
They'll make it work.
All right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Pretty humbled to be as part of this forum of all global CIOs together and start looking at our journey.
It's all your fault.
Looking at our journey, we started off from physical rewards to something going digital. So the amount, the exposures, what we have seen through various walks of life, these are certain things what we would like to share with you today. And when we typically look at any kind of a reward, the name itself means some kind of gratification. But I think if you look at the psychology aspects of it, it's more stimulus of a certain behavior. And probably you've seen multiple examples of this. When the event started, you had some kind of motivation given by the team to say, collect certain points, collect the stamps, you will get rewarded, which means it is kind of a stimulus for kind of a behavior. Now, why do we need this behavior to be attributed? Why do you want to have this stimulus? Now, this is spread across not just your customers, but also to your employees. So certain things which we can start the slide. Good.
Employees, frontline staff, suppliers, sales, channel partners, gig workers, freelancers, customers, all are human. Humans are not robots. We value relations, respect, and recognition to drive results. We contribute better when we are emotionally invested. We crave for appreciation and thank you. We go the extra mile for recognition, praise, and rewards. We need motivation to become better versions of ourselves. Humans are not a resource. Humans are a possibility. Unfold this possibility. Say hello to Zozo Day. Make every day rewarding.
So every time this video plays, I think the kind of emotions which comes out within all the participants is just amazing. So in this small slides, I wouldn't take too much of your time. I know we are all pressed on time. So when you look at what does total reward strategy mean, I think in an organizations which is conglomerates to large and small, medium-sized businesses, I think where we see is driving, how do you drive human emotions to make certain, so they can take certain actions, which kind of drives your performance, your business results, and where do you start and where do you stop, what does it comprise of? So when you look at the holistic aspect of it, right, can you, it's working? So before we kind of getting into the idea of it, a small video, one of my favorites, which I kind of relate to in terms of how a particular promise or the trust, what you can drive a certain set of actions which kind of drive these motivational behaviors for both your employees and consumers, channel, can drive a lot of loyalty, which means it's more repeatability. I don't know if you all have seen it before, but we just want to play this and kind of see how it goes.
Can you please continue to play for 8-9 years so that I can play?
Yes.
Is that a promise?
Sizu, right? If you just take a seat here. Perfect, thank you so much.
Coach?
He knew my name.
Sorry guys, I have a question. I have just informed my boss about your arrival, and she's actually a huge fan. So she asked if it's possible to maybe take a selfie with you.
Me or him?
No, with you, of course.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let her know. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Talk about VIP. You're the best friend in my life. Oh, yes.
I'm your biggest fan. Can I take a picture with you?
Yes.
Shall I take a picture of you?
Take a picture? Oh, thanks.
Really nice.
Oh, wait a second, wait a second.
Oh my God.
Like I told you, yeah, I'm your
Oh my
biggest
God.
fan.
This is, we need to take a picture of this one, right? Poor guy. Some big smile.
Oh, thank you so much.
What?
Did you follow me? Come on. I'm nervous. What a surprise, huh? All the young people watching you playing finally against a worthy opponent. Here's your surprise.
Zizou,
Hi, I'm Mr. Federer.
nice to see you. Roger, hey, nice to see you. Welcome to Switzerland.
My God, thank you.
We have a promise, right? We gotta play. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Have fun, okay? Yeah, alright. Playing nice, Zizou. I like it. Too solid. So good. Playing great, Zizou.
Who won actually?
No, I think we're sitting by the pasta. Buon appetito.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic video. We all want to be the Rogers of the world as an employee, as a business. We want to have the little Zuzus of the world who help us, who be loyal to us, who deliver. And that's something what you see as a growth driver for organizations, because growth drivers today, you have multiple variables. You have your employees, you have your customers, consumers, and you also have the channels, which also plays this very significant role in the way how you do business. Now, how do you motivate on the digital aspects of it? What are the different aspects you use at various different touch points to kind of drive certain this behavior and emotions where they become loyal customers of yours, right? So if you look at consumers and channels, we've all been going through spoiled with choices. Gone are the days where you do a lot of research. It's not the product alone, it's like what value that is coming. And more importantly is the buyer motivations, right? What incentives the brand is providing to me apart from the regular services. So it's becoming more commodity, more options. Consumers are more smarter and they're making decisions with various different data points. So how do you kind of have a total reward strategy which looks at all these aspects because it's just not at the acquisition stage, but from acquisition to activation to retention to referrals. So multiple examples exist today of how organizations are driving various different strategies across each and every touch point through various loyalty programs, referral programs, a new product in the market, you activate via incentives aspect of it. And they also say it's not the whole loyalty program which is the key to success, is also a lot in terms of what options do you provide. Is it meaningful? Is it contextual? So those set of things can drive your adoption of any kind of a loyalty or consumer promotion platforms. And if you look at channels per se, channels play a significant role. Data shows that the revenue increase, what impact does it make when you put a right incentive structure in place. And also a happy channel gives you a higher market share, right? I mean, that's something given. So in together, now this is something what we have already been exposed to. One way or the other, we are a consumer, we see banks giving loyalty points, Emirates or airlines giving loyalty. But I think what we are trying to translate is the biggest aspect is how does employee experience drives customer experience. Enough research shows multiple data points that having a better employee experience is a key driver for you to have a better customer experience, right? So that also translates into the brand. Now, joining these lines is where in the region across, we've seen talent wars, with the rise of IT spend and technology spends, there is always dearth of talent in the market. Compelled by employees being burnt out, and they look at financial wellness, they look at multiple aspects what you need to build in as part of your organization. Now compounding that, if you look at these are very non-sales employees, but if you look at the sales aspect of it, who are driving those revenues, our incentive structures are always complex, right? It is not straightforward. Some of them complex, but when you have multiple variables, some of them revenue related, some of them non-revenue related, it becomes way too complex for a sales guy to kind of understand what am I making today, right? So you have various different combinations, lower fixed, higher incentives. So it becomes fairly complex of how you communicate. And right now today we see these are also manual in nature. A lot of these incentives calculated in a manual way because the lack of the right technology to use, because you have multiple data sources to consume. So with all these challenges when you're designing your whole total rewards as such, it's a culmination of your consumers. You have to look from a perspective of how my consumers are behaving, my channels, as well as your employees, as well as your sales channels as well, sales agents as well. So this all put together is what we are trying to solve using our technology part, which most of you guys like it, which is, where is it? Is it a cloud based? Does it support APIs? So these are certain things what we are investing in, and we've been fairly successful in demonstrating value, right? So this is what I leave it here. So we've been very fortunate to be growing significantly with all the trust with the partners and vendors and our investors, and we hope to kind of create a mark and then build that whole CX UX story, right? So I leave it at there. I know you guys have a pretty long sessions to go, so thank you very much for your listening to us patiently, right?
Thank you so much, Naveen. So in my introduction, I got it mostly right. Employees, channels, customers, motivation, influence, changing behaviors, attention span shrinking. You need across the funnel. You need to engage across the funnel.
You should join us.
I should.
You can
awesome.
do anything you want.
And XO, you didn't comment on that, but kiss, hug, kiss, hug.
I can speak.
Hugs and kisses, okay. Perfect. Thanks for that, Naveen, and thanks for being on time. So Naveen is one of the few presenters that finished in less than 15 minutes. Extra special thanks to that. Next on stage, we're gonna be in for a treat. How to be an astronaut in your own space. Now, if there was awards for creative titles, I would give the award to that title of the session. Our speaker is driven by an insatiable curiosity. Marcel catalyzes new projects to playfully explore different topics in the fields of society, culture, and technology. As the initiator of the Happy Places project, he investigates the dimensions and manifestations of space. The project explores how a wide variety of people create or facilitate spaces and where their boundaries lie. In turn, it maps these findings and then translates them into hands-on tools that can help to create better spaces where people can find new space for growth in all dimensions. Marcel also works as a creative strategist and a strategic creative as Happy Camping and Causatives. Both are eclectic, distributed networks of thinkers and doers for a wide variety of clients, helping them with their complex challenges and ultimately leading them to happiness. So put your hands together. Our next speaker, Marcel Kapman, founder of Happy Places Project.
Check because I cannot see my laptop, right? Okay. One moment. Bum, 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 bum. Waiting music. You still awake? Because it has been a long night, I believe, right? You still okay? Hanging in there? Okay, good. Yeah. Let me check because I don't have communication with my device. Ah, there it is. I can see it now. Thank you for being here. So it's a really beautiful opportunity to see you all and to meet all you, because this is an area I've never been before. So I'm conquering new space. Obviously there's astronaut in the title, and as you can see, I'm not really built to be an astronaut, right? But I've been investigating space for quite some time now. And I was in Iceland and I found this picture. And I think this is the kind of space I'm going to talk about, right? So being an astronaut in your own environment, really. And first let me a little bit explain what I do, right? So where I come from. So I consist of 4 layers. So usually people tend to ask me this question from, hey Marcel, what do you do precisely? And I say, well, I consist of 4 layers. So to start with, I'm a dad, I have 2 children, live together with my wife, we're together for 32 years already. We have a cat, the name is Mouse, doesn't make sense, but it was really always fun, right? So, hey Mouse, where are you? I live in this small province of Drenthe, which is in the north of the Netherlands. So the Netherlands is really tiny. So it's 130 kilometers away from Amsterdam, just to give you a bit of an idea more of the agricultural area. And every morning I have this like 2-hour walks that I do to start off the day, and every time I take a picture. So this is the Netherlands, early in the morning at any time in the season. Next to that, what I also like to do is gathering people. So bringing people together, and I do that in different kind of varieties of ways. From really small, sitting at a table, having conversations with one another. And I'm also the creative director of a big festival in Amsterdam where we have like 70,000 people visiting, 100 conferences and things like that as well. And usually it always starts off with, I don't understand what you're saying, so let's have a conversation about it. And sometimes it's just having a one-on-one conversation, or sometimes it's a 1 to 70,000 people conversation to collectively get a better understanding. So this is at my studio, so people that I work with, that are usually from big companies, and I ask them, can you share me maybe what you think? But if you can tell me, I can also invite 20 other people instead, so you can, it takes the same amount of time and we're all learning together. And this is my network, so I ask the people I work with to take a picture of their finger, draw a little face on them, and you can see some people really turn it into a big project. So this is my analog LinkedIn network hanging at the studio. And sometimes it gets out of control really, and this is where we did a world record attempt of vocal domino in the city of The Hague. A vocal domino is this simple idea where I say ah, and the mister with the pink shirt, they're sitting there then saying ah, and then everybody says ah, and you get this like beautiful choir of people. So 4,920 people competed, conducted by the Israeli conductor Itai Taigam, so that was really beautiful. And this is the festival I was talking about in Amsterdam called We Make the City, which is about all the big societal challenges you find in cities. So we have people there from 118 nationalities all joining to work on energy transitions, to climate change, to make a city's water resistance, inclusion topics and things like that. And next to that, I have this like layer of fascinations, right? So this, if I don't understand things, I just start a project around it. So at some point, I investigated creativity and technology, got out of control into a big festival, to the television show, and gave me the opportunity to start my own education at the oldest art school in the Netherlands, at the Royal Academy of Art. Then I did a big project around learning, together also with Ken Robinson, so the most watched TED Talk you might have seen. And eventually I ended up doing this project Happy Place, where I share more with you about. And lastly, where I earn my money with is the thing at the bottom. So the top three are the ones costing a lot of money, like family, having hobbies, and this all has to make up for that. So this is like how it ideally looks like, right? This is reality, and I think everybody can relate to that. So everything is just always mixed up. So to give you a little taste of the projects I'm involved in, it's like working for IKEA on international projects for placemaking, to creating festivals, to the city of Amsterdam on livable cities and projects like that. So this is my business model. It's rather simple. I do work where I get paid for, and I do a lot of play where I don't get paid for, but the not paying projects are the most rewarding, right? So the business model is really simple. Look at the bottom. So all the playing eventually leads to pay, right? So all these conversations that I have with people, they really educate me, and everything that I learn I can then use and apply also in a work context as well. So another view on that. So if you look at your work, right? So work is always contained. There's always this goal. There were some speakers talking about visions and goals. There's always a context, the field of where you're working in. So being a CIO or CTO and information, that's your context where you work in. And there's always time, always lack of time, usually. And then there's money involved, right? And play is the total opposite. So this is what play is about. It's not about the object anymore, but the world around everything that you know is vastly, vastly bigger. So what I'm investigating now is basically, with this Happy Places project, it's taking place in this bigger space of the things that I don't know. So everything that I don't know, I try to learn within it. And so how did I came about that? So I was working at this big design agency, and they said, okay, how can it be that the people working in this agency don't use their full potential? We're a creative agency, we bill by the hour, can you have a chat with the people? And they hoped that the answer would be, if we just replace the chairs for this beautiful Miller chairs from Eames, you know, from Vitra, eventually they have this great posture fit and their life will increase, right? So they could buy their way into like more success. Obviously it wasn't like that, right? So people at work also encountered the flickering of the light, failing technology, the bad breath of their colleagues, not being rewarded in their work. So instead of just buying the chair, what they also had to do, I made this list of like 4,900 items that need to change in order to create a safe environment for people to work in. So this was one context. So this is space within your work. Second context was working for this big retail grocer. So in the Netherlands you have Albert Heijn and you have Jumbo supermarkets, the two big retailers. And one of them is really active on social media and the other one isn't. So I got this question, we also want to start something in social media. And I asked why. I'm a designer from background, so I always ask why. And I say, well, we have to because the other does, right? But the thing obviously is, if you understand what your brand is, you have to think from that perspective and then decide if you're going to do that or not, right? So the fun thing as well is with social media, and we all speak a different language, so English is also not my native language, but this is the thing, right? So a book is like a British accent, everything in it sounds more interesting, even if it's not, right? If we say social media, we think of Twitter, we think of TikTok, but we tend to forget that having a coffee, the coffee is the social medium, right? The table is the social medium, the place where we are is the medium. It's not necessarily about having the internet working for you in any kind of way. And we always forget that, right? So, so this is finding your space within your brand, if you like. Thirdly, physical space. I was working for this big retail property company, and they had this ambition to create favorite meeting places. So being a designer from background, I thought, okay, that's interesting. I never met you before. How can I buy something, I can create something favorite for a person that I've never met before? You have to get to know the people, just like the previous speaker was also talking about. And what is meeting? Meeting is not sitting across one another. Meeting is spending time together to understand each other better. And so that is also like an act to do. It's not just shaking hands, so there's more to that. And what is a place really, right? So what makes a place a place? It's the people there, the culture and everything else. And if you then try to create a favorite meeting place, well, good job, good luck with that. It's quite a lot of work. So this is space as physical space, and how people relate to that. So what I encountered was everybody was talking about space, right? But they all did it in a different way. It meant something different. So there's space everywhere in our conversations, but the meaning of it is always changing. So at some point I decided, let's go after that. And I had a student at the academy, Doreen, and Doreen at some point said, we educated her for 3 years, and she said, I'm never going to be this designer that you want me to be, but I learned who I am. And I never really thought about that we created this environment for her to find herself within that. And she said, I found my happy place. So I named the project after her. So this is a tribute to Doreen, my student. That's why it's called that. So the question that I ask people is one simple question, right? So it's how do you create space? And that's a really open question, and I'm fully aware of that. And the first person I asked it to was this guy, is an advertising agency owner. And I asked Michael, hey Michael, how do you create space? And he said, what do you mean? Fair answer, right? I said, well, you're an advertising person, that's one way of looking at it. But isn't it that you get a question and a budget to create a temporary or maybe permanent space for people to engage within, or to have to make a different decision and things like that? And then he said, okay, I never really thought about it like that. And we had this like amazing conversation for 40 minutes. So Michael is number one. And a lot of things happened since then, right? So, and then I thought, okay, this is one advertising guy. Advertising is nice, but that's only just one taste. So I came up with this strategy of this approach, like light is built up in RGB, right? If you just put some red light on it, you only see it red. Advertising. So you have to mix a little bit, because if you mix all the lights together, you get white light again, and you can see more, right? So this is just advertising. If you talk to a second person in advertising, it might be about psychology as well. And if you talk to a third person as well, it gives you the opportunity to create white again and see things more objectively, right? So every one person in a certain job or something, I always try to have at least 3 people doing the same job. And that's where things spin out of control. So in the past 11 years, I've been talking to 1,043 people. Sounds like a lot of people, but it obviously isn't, right? It's only this amount of humanity. So I'm well on my way, but not nearly there yet. And I've been doing that at quite a lot of places across the world, to people coming from everywhere. But I also understand that I am what I am, right? So I'm from the West, I'm a white guy, but I'm working for international companies, and we're cooking up plans that have to work at a context that I'm not from, right? So I feel this responsibility to at least put in the effort to understand better who I'm working with and working for, and then just making things up because I think it's a great idea, or the bottom line eventually. So when I was here, I also tried to have as much conversations as possible and meet as many people as I could. So this was in the plane coming here. So a professor that's a gen engineer, he's creating this like azola plant that has to replace soy eventually, also to make it like a better alternative climate-wise. I had a fantastic taxi ride going to the mud volcanoes and conversation with the taxi driver. Together with Ruslan, we visited some beautiful places here to get a better understanding. I talked to students. It was fascinating to learn because he was studying economics and management, but he wants to create an economy of human worth instead of financial gain, right? So I thought it was amazing, right, to meet people just in the street and having these conversations. I was sitting at the back Warren yesterday. We spent all day together having fantastic conversations, and he also gave me some like new words again, right? Like organizations are conversations. So if you don't have the conversations with the people within your organizations anymore, it's not going to be organized, but it's also not going to work anymore. Or obviously, this was just an hour ago on the boulevard. I was just rolling down the boulevard, making pictures and filming my hash as well. So it's fantastic to meet you all. And the reason why I do this, what I already said, is to get a better understanding and to make better informed decisions. So I come from a different culture, you're from different cultures as well, and what does it mean if we have to do things together? So to make it more practical with a client, right, this is IKEA, right? IKEA has this vision, and it's to create a better everyday life for the many people. But thinking as a designer, what does better mean, right? Better to what? And you have to know what's there before you can go to the next, right? And then to improve on it. Second, everyday life. I don't live in India, I don't live in Germany, I'm a Dutch guy. I will never really know what it is to live there, and if I would move there, I'm still this Dutch guy living somewhere else, and people will treat me differently, right? And then the many people. All the people in this room are not the many people, right? We're not the 95%, while the 95% is paying for everything usually. So if they have this ambition, what does it really mean? So what I've learned along the way, my journey is there are three big chapters, right? So people give answers to my question based around themselves, and then about their social environment, like interactions, and then together also with societal. So what do you bring into the world on a larger scale? And what my ambition is to learn, or my hope or dream is, that if you have the ability to bring yourself into your society, into your social context, and not leave yourself at home, right? But bring yourself with you in the group of people that you work with, and then you can bring that into this societal context. That can be your company or your organization. That's already beautiful because you will be there in full, right? So as a leader, I think that's also important. You can be vulnerable, that's okay. But my biggest aim then would be that a happy place, is in my attention, is that place where we do all that, but then have the ability to create this new space where people find new space to create all that again, right? So this is for me where happy places live. So to clarify a little bit, some examples, right? So this is Ben Hammersley. He's a futurist. He's also working for Wired magazine. I met him in London. And I wanted to meet him, really. And then I sent him an email, and I got this lengthy email, which I enlarged for your convenience. And this was a line in his email. It's hard to get to the bottom of things if you're trying to stay on others, right? This was his reply to me, and I thought it was so beautiful, a way of space making, saying, I really like that you contacted me, but it's also important for me not to be available. So this is a really powerful thing to do. People go out running to the forest, do meditation, something else, but this is also something you can organize yourself. My voicemail on my phone is this. I hope it works. Does it have audio?
The personal assistant of Marcel Kampman of Happy Camper. Do not, I repeat, do not leave a message on his voicemail, since we truly hate that and will never ever listen to it anyway. So please send him the message on mail, please. That will make my life a lot easier. Thank you.
So what happened because of it, nobody leaves a voice message anymore, right? So people just, and there's no reason for it, because if somebody calls you on your phone, you can see the number that you've missed. So voicemails are just like this aged medium that you can use. And if you have other ways of organizing it yourself and you don't have the ability to do it yourself, Iceland can help you as the country. So you have a lot of being a student, so little responsibilities all the time in the world. But when you have a job and a family, it's the total opposite, right? So you have lots of money, but you have little time. And so he's trying always to bridge. Because of it, he started to give lectures, having a pitch. So if you have song making, usually what happens is you go out on the street and you hear all kinds of like short sentences people talk about. And he all digests that. And then eventually he starts playing at the piano and he has a melody. And then he puts the words to the melody and then a song comes about. So he then says, also if you have a song for instance, it's important that the song is not about him, right? It should be also of the listener. So he has this big peach and he carves out this big pit that's on the inside and he throws out the pit and all what's left is all the flesh of the fruit, right? But in the middle of it you have this like hollow and you will fill that with your own cultures and your own stories and your own history and all those other things, right? And together then you create this song that becomes important for you. So I was so in love with this story, so I made it into like this design approach to to create a better world. So I can share it with you if you'd like. So since then, I also started doing all kinds of workshops and testing. So we did some sessions from Geneva across the world to Tokyo, talk about things, having good fun, gatherings, and I'm collecting all those stories on a website. So all my learnings are openly available, so you can just go there and learn. So we'll find about 500 or so one-on-one conversations with people I've been talking to. It's all written out. They're in Dutch, but you can translate it to any language that you'd like. And they're all unedited in a way, so they're made beautiful. But it's not a TED talk, right? Like we have a conversation, so you can hear people think, and then you also actually meet the person that you're talking to. And I'm currently working on putting everything together, right? So I've been on this journey for 11 years, and I finally have the confidence now to wrap it all up into the learnings that I took from this project that I have. So I'm aiming for 2025, everything will come together, enabling everybody else except myself to create this better understanding and to make better informed decisions. So, to round up, right? As astronauts, you all are, right? You're all an astronaut in your own space. So, some tips and tricks how you could potentially do that. So, I was talking to this professor, happiness professor Ruud Veenhoven. He investigated and researched happiness for 50 years. So I asked Ruud, is it possible to see if people are happy? Well, like any scientist, they start laughing, right? Because, of course not, right? So I was a little bit dissatisfied with the answer. I said, but you can see that people are smiling. But you don't know why people are smiling. They can just have like a funny thing in their head, they can be in love, there can be all kinds of reasons why people are smiling. So, and that learned me this little line. So if you have a conversation, take time. So you maybe all have been in this like IDEO, design thinking sessions or anything at all. But I'd like to add something new to that as well, learned from Ruud, is it could also be that, right? So this is a really powerful thing. We all have been in those meetings where you have this like director saying, this is how it has to be, right? From his perspective, projecting his thoughts and ideas over the group. In reality, obviously, other perspectives are just as true as his. And this little sentence at the beginning of a sentence can really help you in a meeting saying, it could also be that my idea is potentially valuable, or I just overheard a story. And then there's a second perspective, and then you can have a conversation together, right? So you can create space yourself. So being an astronaut is fairly good doable. It's also good to realize that everything is a continuous conversation, right? It's never ending and it's never ended. Everything around you, it's just people passing by, but you're also a conversation in a space, you're also part of the background of somebody else, or his Instagram picture as well, right? You're always in it. And everyone is a story. It's not everyone has a story, everyone is a story. Trust me, I know. I've been talking to quite a lot of people, right? So at first glance, we're all covered by clothing and what we appear to be. But if you just take the time to sit on a table, spend some time together, eventually we're all people, right? It's 24 hours in a day, 8 hours of the day we're sleeping, 8 hours of the day we're in our formal roles, 8 hours of the day we're husbands, we're wives, We're dads, we're sports coaches and all those things. And we always separate all those things, right? That doesn't really make sense. Right? We're that all time, all day long. So everybody has a great story to tell, and it's a great story. And I learned that it's really powerful for me. I'm a dropout, right? I did not finish my high school. Whoa, just like Steve Jobs, just to, pun intended to the speaker of yesterday. But it's really easy to be your own school, right? You can just ask a question. I've been just asking this question, hey, how do you create space? I've asked it to astronauts, I've asked it to authors. And the great thing is usually I come back home with great stories and free books as well, and friends for life, which is really, really fascinating. Another thing that what it also helps you in is to become, and I borrow this from a Dutch philosopher, to become perspectivistic agile, right? So if you have this ability where you can shift between perspectives from different people, will really help you in decision making. Sorry, oh, going the wrong way. Another simple thing is movement causes movement. So we all had this pandemic and nothing happened, right? I had the same thing, and I thought, okay, the world was not waiting for me at all anymore. But I also came to the realization, if I want to set things in motion again, I should be the first one to move. And I did, and because of that, a lot of things got into motion again, and look where I am today, waving at you guys. There's always something hidden behind what you can't see, right? So if you talk to somebody, it's always good to remember that there might be something else that's also occupying their thoughts and is occupying their lives, and it might also be difficult. So if you talk to somebody else, also be considerate, right? So take that into account. Think in RGB will help you a lot, right? Never talk to one person only. Talk to other people, and you will learn. If you talk to a second doctor, the doctor will talk about biology. If you talk to a biologist, he will talk about architecture. If you talk about architecture, we'll talk about life, you know. So nobody is really what you think. You're not your role to begin with. So I also really like this, right? So if you want to learn everything you need to know about a lion, go to the jungle, not to the zoo. Just go there. Don't learn about things, learn within. Just go there. And as from a designer perspective, I think this is crucial. I'm from the Netherlands, right? Everything in my country is made by people. That's a really powerful thing to know, because then everything can also change. If it has been made, we can also change it. We live below sea level. Everything is engineered, right? We're really good at that. But we don't have nature, we only have culture. We have green things, but it's not nature at all. So if you know that other people made those sprints and those agile sessions and those lean methods and why, how, what's and other things, right? It has been a meeting that eventually turned into a lamppost. And that lamppost can then change again into something else. That's a powerful thing to remember. So almost there is, and don't watch, right? Seeing is something else that takes an effort. Watching is really ignorant. It's really easy to watch and it's difficult to see. Same goes for listening. Listening takes time, it takes attention. Hearing is really simple, right? So it's just do and don't say, so just simply go after things. And I'm a big believer in making substance instead of shadows, right? So I took this from a song lyric, but I think it's really important to give substance to shadows, right? Don't have visions only. Visions are easy, ideas are really simple. Making them tangible and real is more complicated. So you can learn a living and then earn a living. So you can work and play, and it turns into work and play. And it's all fairly doable as an astronaut in your own space. So all these learnings, eventually you learn from all these people, will come together. You will find them here, so what I already talked about. And eventually also in a tangible shape. And this is what I wanted to share with you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Marcel.
I'm good in time?
You are perfect on time. Oh. Exactly to the minute, so I'm very, very impressed with your timekeeping skills. How did you do it? Was it luck?
No, I did it more frequent than once.
Okay, you've rehearsed. Preparation is key. I really love the pictures. You spoke about the conversation you had with the people you met.
Yeah.
But who took the pictures?
I'm all those people. So I'm the photographer, videographer, editor, all those things.
And the slide designer as well.
I'm all those people. Yeah.
Amazing. I love
it.
I really
spaghetti, as I already shared.
Yeah. Give a hand of applause to Marcel, please. Thank you. We should change the name Happy Places to Happy Spaces.
Okay, we can have a discussion about it. I will bring a camera, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Bring the camera. Let's have a conversation.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Marcel. Our next speaker is a best spiritual healer from India. Dr. Ekta is a globally recognized and highly awarded authority in the mental health and holistic well-being space, with a focus on mindful meditation, coaching, counseling, and executive leadership development. She enables individuals to lead happier, healthier, fulfilling lives, and is committed to making a positive impact in the mental health and well-being field. Speaking about positive impact, how many of you attended the yoga session this morning? Okay, we have pictures, we have stamps. So anybody raising their hand now, we can audit. Make sure you were there. What time did it start? As scheduled on 5:30 or 6? All right, I tried, I set the alarm, it rang, I snoozed, and I went back to sleep. But I'm glad that others were stronger-willed. Dr. Ekta has been awarded India's best intercept transformation specialist by the Economic Times and is a flag bearer of mental health and well-being by the Economic Times. She's a renowned international keynote speaker and international meditation guru, a global wellness ambassador, and a globally recognized gifted energy healer. Here to represent GCF Academy on the wellness frontier, empowering CIOs and their teams for success, please give a big round of applause to Dr. Ekta Sibal.
Good afternoon. So we are right on time, I believe, just before lunch. Everybody is inching to go for lunch, right? Yeah, so I won't take too much time, but before I begin, I have to tell you that it's a pleasure to be here with all of you in BAKU. I've had some wonderful conversations with all of you, and I must tell you that while the city is beautiful, I think the conversations made it even more beautiful. Would you agree? Yeah? And at the same time, I feel that as a group, when we come together, don't we bring out the best in each other? Yeah? We bring out the best out of each other, right? And that is the essence of leadership, is it or not? Yeah? So leadership is all about bringing the best in your team, between each other, right? So well, that's what the theme of my talk is all about today. It is about leadership and well-being. So as I'm the Global Wellness Ambassador, so of course the talk has to be around well-being and wellness. And I decided that this time I'm not going to be talking only about you. Because every year I've only talked about how you can create wellness in your life. But I do realize that your life is not just your life, right? It's also the life of the teams that you lead. It's also the life of the people whom you inspire. So having said that, I decided that this time I am going to also talk about your teams, how you can build well-being, not just for yourself, but for your teams also. And that's why the name has called Wellness, and empowering yourself and the teams for success. So I believe that success doesn't come just by capturing the numbers or having maximum number of projects or just working well. Would you agree? Success is much more than that, right? So success is also about people. Success is also about how you feel. Success is also about the emotions that you're able to bring out in others and yourself. So everything is included when we talk about success. Now, many speakers who have talked about well-being also a part of it. They've talked about leadership. And I do know that all of you do understand that many things are important in leadership. Whether it is in terms of keeping your team happy, having a human capital which is engaged, which is doing well, all of that is important. And all of you do recognize that, right? But how? How can you do that? Have you ever thought of it? What is the answer to that how? We know what is it. We know why is it needed. But where is the how? Where is the answer to that how? And that is exactly what I'm going to answer today. The how part of it. What is it that you can do? How can you involve and engage with your team from a well-being perspective? What are those tools that you can use? What are those techniques that you can employ within your team? And simple techniques. Nothing too much of rocket science that you can't do it. It is something that you can easily employ within your team. Make your team go through that well-being process and get your team to understand that you care for your people. And I think that's very important as a leader, to initiate that feeling in your teams, right? Yes, no? Yes. Are you there? Not there? Back at lunch? Yeah? So, before I begin, I would like all of you to introspect over these questions. And I want to ask you, how many of you actually ask these questions to yourself first? To yourself. How many of you ask these questions to yourself? Like, whom can I talk to? Am I eating regularly? Do you ask these questions to yourself?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, some of you, yes.
In the night.
Some of you don't.
Before sleep.
Before sleeping, very good. That's a great thing to introspect. And how many of you actually ask these questions to your teams or to the people whom you inspire? Okay, I have few hands who don't ask for themselves, but they do ask for others. Great. So, why I'm asking these questions is this, because these are basic conversation starters. These are basic things that you can ask when it comes to well-being. That, are you okay? Everybody will say, I'm okay, I'm fine. That's the common answer, right? But when you seek an answer for that question, oh, I'm very aware. I know what I feel. I know what the other person feels. But are you really? Would you really look into your heart and say that, am I really aware? And if you can answer that question with full honesty, that's when you're aware. But most of us are not. Most of us are still struggling to become aware. So that's the first thing. In fact, I have to tell you this, a lot of organizations are now keeping this self-awareness as a skill for any leader to have. So it's no longer kind of a skill that was not needed earlier. Now it's an absolute requirement for leaders to be self-aware, to be aware of others, to be aware of the emotions of others. So self-awareness is becoming big in terms of understanding yourself and others. That's the first part. The second part is creating a vision. Whenever we are trying to do something new, it's important to create a vision. It's important to see what all things are going to get affected, what all things are going to be included in that particular conversation. So having that vision, and it can be a larger vision which you can then minimize it into smaller roles, but that larger vision has to be there. And then the next comes imagining the future. How that vision will convert into a future that you would like to have. That's the third part. And finally, taking action, the main part. What is it that you're doing to ensure that you create a success, a leader success for your team? Now, all these four areas actually answer the why, what, and how. Like I said, That how part is the most important part. How is it that you're leading your teams towards well-being? So that is what we will be answering through the talk as I will have. Now the first part, which was about becoming aware. Now as you can see, there is some data that I picked up from Deloitte, a study that was done by Deloitte in 2022, wherein four countries were surveyed to identify how the teams or the leaders are engaging with their teams and understanding their well-being needs. So there was a huge underestimation by the leaders who thought their teams were doing very well. And they thought that their teams were absolutely happy. Now I have to share this example with all of you. I do a lot of corporate workshops, and before I do any workshop, there is generally an interaction I have with the HR, the stakeholders, the leaders of the organization, just to understand what is their expectations from the session. So in one of the recent most workshop that I had, the stakeholders and the leaders and the HR, all of them were telling me, oh, everybody in our company is very happy. We have a very happy workforce, but we have to do this because it's a part of our ESG protocol by the UN. So we have to do this well-being workshop, but everybody is very happy. Nobody needs it. I said, okay, that's a very big thing to say, but I said, all right, that's great if you feel so. And I said that, let's do a survey before we conduct this workshop, just to get a pulse of the employees in the organization. And they said, oh yeah, do it, but everybody's going to just say if they're very happy. I said, fair enough, I'll get an idea and you'll get an understanding too. And we did the survey. And lo and behold, the survey results were absolutely opposite. The people were not happy. They didn't know how to speak up. They didn't know whether they can voice it out or not. And those were the questions that were put in the survey. And they all said that we don't know whether anybody is actually taking care of us or not in that way, the way the survey was done and the answers that we got. And that was an eye-opener for them. And that's when they realized that well-being is not just to be done as a part of a protocol. It has to be done as a part of something that needs consistent reiteration to everybody, the leaders, the teams, everyone. So that's how awareness helps. This was just one thing that made them aware. But there are so plenty of things that you can do as a team on a regular basis to become aware of your team. And that awareness is not just going to help you, but also your team and you, both. So it's a double whammy for both of you. Now, moving on, when we talk about creating a vision, so there are three things that you need to remember. Those are three keys that one needs to remember. The first thing is to providing opportunities of well-being. Now, I'm not saying that you have to have big opportunities only to be provided. Take them to a retreat. No, you don't have to do all of that. Smaller opportunities. Look for smaller options that you can do, initiate, and every time you do it, something new will be given to you as knowledge, which will help you in your further planning of well-being activities. The second part is holding yourself and your team accountable. How accountable are you for whatever well-being initiatives you are doing? So hold yourself accountable for it. Make it happen. Hold your team accountable for it. That's the second thing that you can do. And the third part, which is very important, is embracing that it's a sustainable activity that you're doing. It shouldn't be one-off activity. If you're just doing it to tick mark a particular thing that has to be done, it's of no use. There's nothing that will come out of it. It has to be sustainable, it has to be consistent. And those are the three keys when you have to unlock that well-being initiatives and to create a vision for how you would want to create a wellness culture in your organization. It has to be a culture and not just a single in silos, having an activity in silos. Moving on, so it starts with purpose, as I said. Now, when you prepare for your team's well-being journey, so it's a journey. It's not just one-off activity, it's a journey. It has to start with simple steps, and this is where I'm going to share some tools that you can use. How do you begin this journey? What can you do to include well-being in your teams and in yourself as well? The first and most important part is modeling the behavior. How are you doing it? What are you doing? So a simple thing of modeling the behavior would be, are you taking care of yourself? Are you taking care of your health? Are you taking care of your sleep? And the same thing, when you're doing it, you will want your team to do it. You would want the people whom you have to inspire to do it as well. So it's just as simple as modeling the behavior, which is the first small step that you can begin. The second thing is all about team well-being goals. What are those small well-being goals that you would like to have in your team? Again, simple things like you would want your team to eat on time. They should have their meals on time. Simple, right? Or you can have your team to cut off their time, work time, and move on to their, to their life, to their personal life. Again, a simple step to be taken. So have those small goals identified for your team. It has to be very specific to your team and not a generic thing. Whatever your team needs is what you need to give it to them as a goal. The third part, which is very important, is another tool that you can use. I don't know if you all have played bingo. Have you? So this is a kind of a variation of a bingo. What you can do is, for 31 days in a month, create a bingo chart. Every day there is a small well-being goal. Include that. And for every day, tell your team to strike off anything that they were able to do. So by the end of the month, when you review it, you will know that your team has been actively doing some form of well-being activity. So that's another tool that you can use with your team. The fourth part, which is again a very important aspect, which is the well-being dimensions. I don't know how many of you know that there are several dimensions to well-being. There is mental well-being, there is physical well-being, emotional well-being, social well-being, spiritual well-being, intellectual well-being, financial well-being. So there are plenty of dimensions. You can add all of this in a particular wheel like that, and then there are two areas that you have to look at. The first area is the desired state. What is the desired state that you would want to be in that particular scale? And what is your current state of well-being? So identify, give this card to your teams and tell them, just mark it. So when you have those markings on your dimension wheel, you would know what is your current state, the team's current state, and your desired state for the team. And based on that, you can create a well-being goal chart for them for every month. So by the end of the month, you can, or maybe it can be a bi-annually activity. After 6 months, review it and ask your team, how well have they done it? How well they have achieved their, from their desired state or from their actual state, how well they have achieved and gone to their desired state. So this is a tool that can be used on a regular basis, for getting that team to start working on their well-being goals. So this is the fourth aspect that can help you in beginning this journey towards well-being. And the fifth and most important part is recognizing and appreciating. Now, that is something I really have to struggle with people. Because as human beings, we do not want to recognize and appreciate ourselves also first. I mean, let alone others. First, let's appreciate ourselves. But that doesn't happen. We are constantly criticizing ourselves. We are constantly looking at, oh, I'm not good at this, oh, I'm not good at that. And that same thing reflects on the others. That same thing we want to say to others, oh, that is not good in this person, that is not good in that person. But for a change that perspective. And instead of looking at what they are not good at or what you are not good at, look at what you're good at. And the moment you start changing that perspective and start looking at what you're good at, you will realize that automatically you will move towards making that positive thing more stronger. And automatically the things that you're not good at will drift away. So try this, recognize and appreciate yourself a little more. So that's the 5 areas that you can work on when it comes to beginning this journey towards your well-being. Now, once you have begun your journey, so this is something I want to reiterate once again before I move on to the next part, which is leadership and well-being. It's all interconnected. We all know that. And we have been talking about leadership since morning. And we have been talking about human beings, the connection, the people, all of it. We all know that leadership and well-being are connected. So, as leaders, it is your duty. It is your duty to create well-being in your team, to take care of your team, to take care of all those people who look up to you, who you inspire. So that's what you need to do. So what can you do for that? Creating a culture, like I said earlier. Have it as a culture, not as just one-off thing. The second part that you can do is training and building awareness for your team. Training them. Get trained for yourself first. Get that training for yourself. How can I know about myself? When you know about yourself, you can train the other person to learn how to find that awareness within themselves. And once you have that part done, the last part is regularly looking at how the well-being is working for you. So constantly measuring, qualitative measuring and quantitative measuring. Quantitative measuring will be in terms of productivity, in terms of absenteeism, in terms of how well they are working in your teams, in terms of relationships. So that's the quantitative measurement that you can do. And qualitative will be what is it that you're seeing as a difference in that person. How well are they doing their things from a qualitative perspective. So when you have these things in perspective, as a leader, you will have more clarity on not just leading, but on making sure that you lead by example. Yeah? So as I move forward, now I would like to share 6 techniques with all of you. I shared some tools, I'm going to share some techniques now. Now all these 6 techniques is something you don't have to do all of them together, so don't get overwhelmed that I have to follow all these 6 techniques with my team. No. It is just something for your knowledge. You can pick up one technique, maybe have it as a weekly review, before your weekly review meeting. Give 10 minutes to your team. Do this as a practice, and this will not just help them, it will help you also, because you will also be engaging in it. And when you'll be engaging in it, it will become a practice and a way of life for you as well. So the first thing is body scan. Take 5 minutes. We did it in the morning as well for meditation. So just take 5 minutes, tell everybody to just sit quietly, scan your body. Just see if your body is fine. If it's feeling tired, exhale out. You know, just inhale and exhale. Scientifically, it's proven. If you inhale and exhale for like 30 seconds, you will actually calm down your body. So do that. 5 minutes is nothing before the review meeting. And this will also help you to know that your team will know that you actually care for them. That you're actually taking care of their health. So body scan is first, then comes the values. Ask them to identify 3 top values that they have. That gives a meaning or a purpose in their life. And then tell them what are the activities that you would like to do to ensure that you kind of make these values happen. Just top 3 values. Again, this can be a conversation starter for your review meetings every week. And then review it after a few months, that how much have you achieved, what all have you achieved, have you thought about it, have you done anything about it. That will again give you an insight on the team, that what is their thinking, what is happening in their lives. Are they too busy with managing other things that they can't even take care of things that actually give them meaning or purpose? And that will help you to know how to manage that. The third part is being mindful. Again, you have to take out 2 minutes. So once in a while you can do body scan, once in a while you can do mindful exercise. And again, scientifically speaking, if you are able to do a mindful exercise for say 2 minutes, it will help you to be cognitively attentive for the next 3 to 4 hours. So if your team is getting involved into something which is very, very crucial, needs their attention, needs them to be focused, get them to do a mindful exercise just before starting it. And you will see a difference. Whatever they were supposed to do in 4 hours, they'll be able to achieve it in less than 4 hours. And this is scientifically proven, so you can do that. Strengths, engage in a conversation with your team and tell your team to identify strengths of the other person. Not of themselves, but of the other person. That will help them to get them to, feel a camaraderie within the team, get them to engage with each other. And when they talk about strengths, they're not talking about things that they don't like. They're talking about the good things. The good things will induce happy hormones, will induce good energies between the team members. So ask them to tell 3 strengths of each other. Then finally, box breathing. A very simple technique. Box breathing is nothing but 4 seconds of inhale, 4 seconds of hold, and 4 seconds of exhale. As simple as that. So inhale for 4 seconds, hold it and for 4 seconds, and exhale it for 4 seconds. So when you do this, again, it helps you to become very focused. So this is another activity that you can do. And finally, retrospect about good things. So by the day end, ask your team to share few things that they were able to achieve and how they felt good about it. The moment they talk about it, they'll be going home happy, even if something happened which was not so good in the office. So these are 6 techniques that you can employ within your team, and that answers the how part. How do you get people to connect in your team? How do you get people to be fine and well in your team? And finally, as a final thought, I would like you to see this, which is all about when you lead with well-being, what do you get? You get growth, you get health, you get ownership, which is very important. After all, we are all wanting a team which owns up, right? Connection, again another important thing, resilience and purpose. So when you're leading with well-being, this is what you'll achieve. So that's the final thought that I would like to give to all of you to end my talk. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I will be here. We can have a conversation and talk about it more. So thank you so much for listening in.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. I heard that as the ambassador for the Global CIO Forum, the Wellness Ambassador, we have some exciting news to share with the audience today.
Yes, absolutely. Would you like to share that?
Yeah, why not? So we have 2 extra slides. So today we are launching 2 programs.
Yes, we are.
Can you tell us a bit more about the 2 programs?
So I am collaborating with GCF Academy to come up with 2 very essential programs for leaders, which is going to be a long stretch programs. One is an elemental program and the other is an advanced program for leaders. Again, to help them up their leadership skills, up their leadership spirits as well. So let's, I think we can go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So it's quite a lot of information there. I don't want you to get overwhelmed with all of that. So just to tell you, the elemental program has a duration of 10 hours, which can be done in 1 day, which can be done in 2 days, or it can be spread out in a month. So as a leader, you would have the flexibility to identify which program you would like to do, whether an elemental program or an advanced program. Elemental program will have the foundations, a foundation of self-awareness, physical health, how to take care of your mental health. Simple steps, but again, very, very powerful steps for you to start with that journey of well-being. And then the next part, which is the advanced program, that has around 30 hours of your time that has to be taken. Along with that, it will also have 6 hours of practical experience. So I'll be sharing some practical tools, taking you through some practical knowledge on what you can do to bring that wellness and well-being in your life. So again, can be spread out over a period of few months, which can be, done accordingly as we go ahead. So yeah, there is a lot of information. I think this will be put up on the website.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you will be delivering these programs yourself?
Yes, I will be delivering.
Nice. So 10 hours for the elemental, 30 hours for the advanced program. And I see that both are not only targeting yourself as a program attendee, but also helping develop leadership skills so you can instill well-being in your team members as well.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wish you the best of luck. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, have you received your stamps? Have you attended the expo? Who has not received the wellness stamp? Okay, I think it's the front row. Okay, it's just here. So the stamp is right there. She's stamping away. So make sure you get it before you leave. We are now going to break for lunch. But before you get out of your seats, we're going to meet back here at 2:30, where we're going to hear from Lakshmi, the first Purian to send art to the moon. She will be having a short presentation, followed by the leadership workshop by John Natone. So you heard from John yesterday in the opening keynote. Today we're going to be conducting a workshop where you will also get certified level 1 leadership. So please make sure to attend, make sure to bring your passports, and enjoy lunch. See you at 2:30.